What's up, everybody? Tommy Mutchler here, your favorite realtor, and today we're going to be talking about what you can expect in the 2023 housing market. Now, in this video, we're going to be diving deep into what you can expect on a national level, followed up by what's happening here in our Bellingham, Washington, Whatcom County housing market. And lastly, I'm going to be answering the most important question that literally everyone is asking, and that's whether or not I'm wearing pants. In which case, no. Now, before we jump into it, if you need help buying or selling a house, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to be your realtor and help you out. Or click the link below to subscribe to our newsletter for all things Bellingham. Now let's go ahead and jump into our 2023 predictions for the national housing market. First up, I want to go through this report from Realtor.com because I do think it's actually a pretty good report on what they think is going to be happening on a national level. Now, Realtor.com is already predicting that home buyer costs aren't going to be coming down at all. And if we look right here, it says, after being overwhelmed in the housing frenzy in the recent past, homeowners, sellers, buyers, and renters may be underwhelmed in the 2023 housing market. Now, long story short, this is just a fancy way of saying that the market is slowing down. Now, obviously, we saw the market slow down around summertime last year when the Federal Reserve started raising interest rates to almost 7.5%. Currently, interest rates are in the low, mid to 6% range. But this slowdown doesn't necessarily mean that home prices are collapsing or falling down at all. In fact, if we look right here, Realtor.com is predicting that costs are going to remain high in this coming year. And if we scroll down a little bit, we're going to see that they are actually predicting that home prices will increase by about 4.5% over the next year. And while we still have more to dive deep into in this article, long story short, Realtor.com is predicting that the housing market is going to be more of a nobody's market as opposed to a buyer's or a seller's market. And that's because once we account for income, mortgage rates, and home prices, these are basically the three major components that determine whether or not housing is affordable. Obviously, you have your income, which is really important. You got to be able to make enough money to afford the home. Interest rates obviously dictate how much money you can borrow. The higher the interest rates are, the less money you can borrow. The lower they are, the more home you can afford, and more home you can afford at a lower rate. And then, of course, having high home prices makes affordability that much harder. Now, Realtor.com is already predicting that the average monthly mortgage payment in the United States, again, this is the United States on a national level, is going to be $2,430 here in 2023, which would be nearly a 28% increase over the mortgage payments in 2022 or last year, which again is almost double that of the year 2021. Now, with monthly payments increasing so significantly, again, due to those higher interest rates, you would expect home prices to come down. However, that's not what's happening. And the reason being is inventory, aka number of houses for sale, is still really low. Now, yes, inventory has nearly doubled over the last year, but it's still half of what it should be in a normal housing market. Now, Realtor.com already goes ahead and predicts that they're going to see an overall increase by about 22.8% increase in the inventory this year in 2023. Now, that's already what we've been seeing kind of here on a local market. Now, I know we're talking about national numbers here, but locally speaking, we are seeing an increase. Again, we're still nowhere near what we should be, but thankfully, buyers will have a lot more houses to choose from here in 2023. So while home prices still may be a lot higher than what a lot of people want them to be, buyers will be given the opportunity to be a lot more picky than they were the last 2 years. Now, while home prices are still increasing and don't really show any signs of going down, while I guess they are slowing down, they aren't going down. Home buyers are going to have a lot more options in the coming months when it comes to picking out a home that meets more of their needs. Now, that doesn't mean I think home buyers are going to be given the opportunity to beat the seller up on price and get them to come down $10, $50, or $20, or even $100,000. I think there's going to be certain cases where buyers can get better deals, but for the most part, the really good news for buyers is they're going to have a lot more options when it comes to choosing the type of house that they want to live in. You know, 2020 and 2021 were really hard. Basically, as a buyer, you had no options. There was one or two houses that were in your price range, and 20 people were trying to buy them. In 2023, that's not going to be the case. Now, before I dive into my predictions on the Whatcom County, Bellingham area housing market, let's go ahead and look into what's going on right now in our current housing market. Now, for reference, I'm just going to pull up the Bellingham area. Now, I could pull up other areas as well. If I wanted to, I could pull up Whatcom County. I can even add the Ferndale market if I want to. So I got a few different counties and areas right here. And for the most part, if we look at this graph over the last 3 years, even if we just go back to the last year, home prices are going up. Now, these are the medium home prices. looks like here in Ferndale, actually did go up about $1,000 here in December. So we are still seeing home prices go up even into the new year. And if we look at some other statistics over the last year, like homes for sale, we're going to see that we actually had more homes for sale this time last year than we do right now currently, which I'm going to be honest, kind of surprised me a little bit. Actually, I thought we would have more homes for sale on the market right about now, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, days on market, we are seeing an increase as we are in these winter months, which is pretty normal to see homes take longer to sell here in the winter time, especially compared to the summertime. This is a pretty normal graph, especially if we were to back this up, let's say the next 5 years, we're going to see usually in the summer times we see homes sell pretty quickly, and then the winter time they take a little bit longer. Even overall though, just looking back the last 5 years, you're going to see the average time it took to sell a house was around 20 to 25 days. Although it looks like right here maybe 16 days, 18 days, depending on the local market. However, locally, we're still seeing homes sell pretty quickly, even in our local market, especially even during the slowdown in the winter, which is pretty normal. Now let's go ahead and look at monthly supply of inventory. Now, basically what this graphs mean is how many months would it take for us to sell all the houses on the market? Assuming we got no more houses for sale, this is how many months it's going to take to sell all the houses we have. Now, again, as we move into winter times, we're going to see an increase. Now, currently, as it states, if I just look at just Bellingham right now, it would take 1.9 months for us to sell every single house on the market and then to be completely out of homes. Now, historically, again, if we dive back, we go back a little bit, in Bellingham, which is generally a really hot market overall, we're seeing about 2.8 months, and in Whatcom County, we're seeing about 4.1, 4.0 months for us to sell every single house on the market. And remember, it's important to remember that home prices were going up during this time. If I were to go to the sales prices here, we see home prices were still going up at this time, even though inventory was double what it is right now. And if we back it up to the max, which I believe is about 2005, 2007, we're going to see we had peak inventory right here in about 2010, 2009, which is just a year after the housing market crash, which put us over 16 months of inventory in 2010. Now, again, if we compare this to our medium sales price data, you're going to see we had a slight drop in home values over this period. Now, again, things started turning around 2012. And prices started going up in 2013, 2014, and so forth until we are here today. Now, if we take a look at 2014 and 2013 when it came to monthly supply of inventory, we're looking at 8 to 9 months of inventory for Bellingham, Washington, and 12 to 11 months of inventory in the Whatcom County, meaning we're not even close to seeing home prices fall here in our local housing market yet. Relatively speaking, there's just nothing for sale. So long story short, I don't see home prices really coming down at all. If anything, I think they're going to still go up. Now, again, every housing market is different. I'm kind of focusing on that Whatcom County, even a little bit of Skagit County area. Comparatively to Seattle, you might see headlines of home prices dropping in Washington or Seattle or nationally. And that might be true for some cities and some states. I just don't see that happening here in the Bellingham, Whatcom County area. Yes, of course, some sellers are dropping their price, but that's because they listed their house way too high. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the home value is decreasing. It just means that they listed the house too high and they are now dropping the price to something a little bit more reasonable. But overall, I think home prices are going to continue to go up. But I do think we're going to see a continued rise in inventory, giving a lot of home buyers a lot more options than they had before, especially as we move into February, March, and April. And for sellers, I think this means you're going to need to be a lot more competitive when it comes to selling your home, meaning you're going to need to have really strong marketing when it comes to selling. You're going to have to price your home aggressively fair, meaning you can't overprice it and expect to sell it for a lot more money. You need to sell it at market value or slightly below. And really, I think we just need to hope that interest rates come down. But if you need to buy, be prepared to buy a home at these current rates. Now, with that said, my name is Tommy Mutchler, your favorite realtor. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help you out real estate wise. I'm always happy to help, and I will see you in the next one.